Peter Toy. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys. The Springboks are arguably the best team in the world right now. Probably down to their defense. But you've got to be careful of where you say that and who you say that around, because a lot of people don't think that's true, and I'm not 100% certain myself, because, you know, international rugby has more ups and downs than tea bags, and quite frankly, you can't put a finger on who is the best in the world. Did you know that if you say the Springboks are the best team in the world 3 times in a row whilst facing a mirror, Razzie actually appears behind you, giving you £1 million in cash? You know, it's a kind of thing. It's probably worth a try. The Springboks are the best team in the world. The Springboks are the best team in the world. The Springboks are the best team in the world. South African rugby didn't really used to have the grace and elegance of the Springbok. It was more kind of like a blobfish, you know, kind of ugly and just there. They just weren't really that good, you know. BR, before Razzie, the Springboks really struggled to find their identity. Were they the big biceps of world rugby, or were they the cunning tacticians that would smartly tear a team apart? Unfortunately, they were neither. They were just kind of there. But AR, you know, after Razzie, the message was clear. Beat the living out of teams. Like, literally beat them down to a pulp. Please have mercy on anyone that runs against a structured South African defence, because the likelihood is they'll come out of it with a decreased life expectancy, 2 front teeth missing, and an appointment with a chiropractor. South African defence has become more than just an aspect of the game. It has become DNA itself. It has become the benchmark. It has become a way to defend a World Cup title. So it is certainly something that cannot be ignored within world rugby, and that's why I'm going to talk about it a little bit today. And don't get me wrong, sometimes their defence just doesn't work and they don't turn up during the game, but on the majority of occasions they are one of the most dominant defences in world rugby. Their ability to defend and get the ball back into their very large hands is some of the best in the world. Pause right there. If you have not liked nor subscribed to this video thus far, please can you do so right now? It would mean the world. Okay, you may continue now. Now, it might be cliche, but you can't win a game of rugby without the ball. Go on, try it. I dare you. Go on, give it a go. So if you're up against a team that looks to maintain possession and keep the ball as much as possible, it is your primary aim to defend as best as your ability and get the ball back. Simple as that. That is defense. 50% of the game that we love. A back's nightmare and a forward's nightmare as well. Like, if anyone of you enjoys to defend, what's wrong with you? I never want to meet you. But stopping an attack can be very hard. Everyone's so fast nowadays, they can step, they got set moves, blah, 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 blah. But what they can't control is you. They can't control your decisions and tactics as a defender. And as defences go, the Springboks is probably the best example of this. They essentially run a high-risk, high-reward blitz defence with an emphasis on putting an immense amount of pressure on the inside. And quite crucially, bone-cracking tackles. By no means is this perfect, of course. People do score against them, but it works for them. It is a perfect strategy which is built for the squad that they have. And quite obviously, the squad is built of men with shoulders that are made out of steel. Now, what I mean by this is that the Springboks put an unbelievable amount of pressure on the ball carrier, and most importantly actually, the people around the ball carrier as well. Quite literally squeezing and limiting the options that the opposition has, leaving them feeling ultimately pretty vulnerable in every attacking situation. They look to take away an attack's time, steal it, run away from it, lock it up and not give it back. They don't want to give the opposition the respect and time on ball, especially at international level. Attackers can easily identify opportunities and exploit them when they have time on ball. So reducing that and putting that pressure on will make them make mistakes. A lot of commentators will say, oh, it's an unforced error again when a player drops the ball pre-tackle. it's not an unforced error. It's Peter Steph Toy looking straight down your channel, about to sprint towards you. It's terrifying. It puts the fear of God into people. That man is literally ahead with a singular shoulder, wanting to hurt and destroy people. It is important to know that if you run a blitz defense, you will occasionally get broken on the outside. And this is when you need your covering players to work extremely hard for you. This usually occurs with the likes of a sweeping 9, a fullback, even a flanker sometimes. But what the Springboks like to emphasise is that their inside defenders continue to push, continue to work and act as an extra line of sweeping behind the defensive line. But this isn't going to be easy. It's going to require your players to work extremely hard and be extremely fit, but it's vital if you're going to use that strong, fast blitz. Having your players continuing to work hard on the inside of the defensive line will mean that it can get you out of some really deep holes and some dark spots when you've been broken around the outside. You'll see mistakes in a Springbok defense, believe it or not, when they actually don't apply enough pressure, when maybe there's a slight disconnect with a teammate, when they haven't come up together, which is extremely hard to believe considering they treat every defensive phase as if it's some sort of 100-meter race. But when the team does get done on the outside, these sweeping defenders is what they use as their kind of get out of jail free card. I want you now for a second just to imagine a high security prison. Bit weird, I know. Why am I bringing this up? You know, big towering walls, you know, barbed wire, rabid dogs. And then I want you to imagine a beautiful size 5 Gilbert rugby ball, right? Surrounded by a moat filled with spikes and crocodiles. Just imagine that a second. Blink once, open your eyes, and it's gone. That is how good the Springboks are at jackling the ball. Like stealing a semi-final from the Irish, they are some of the best jackalers in the world. And there's good reason for this. This team understands when the jackal is good to apply and when it can actually work against you. The Springboks have some of the best jackalers in the world. Let's look at Quagga Smith, for example. He could steal the crown jewels without the world even realising. He is that good at jackling because he's mastered the art of the jackal, and jackal is an art. Look at a couple clips here from him. He is unbelievably getting in such a low, powerful position over the ball. And they use double tackles very smartly in a lot of situations. Low, first tackler going low, second tackler coming in, releasing early, showing the ref that they're not on the ball anymore, and then going in for that jackal. And that allows them to turn over the ball on multiple occasions during a game. Now, jackling for the ball doesn't always go your way. You know, sometimes they deem the defender not running away before you go for the jackal. They deem your hands to be on the floor before you go for the ball. These things can get in the way of the perfect jackal, but South Africa seem to implement it in their game so well that they can stop an attack dead. And that is so powerful. The final point I want to make about this South African defense, and the point that I think puts them on a complete different level to anyone else in World Rugby, is the mindset, the mentality that they have towards defense. This team clearly loves to defend, and defense, I'd say, is probably like 90% mentality, 10% work rate tackling. You can clearly see the difference between a team that loves to defend and is hungry to defend versus a team that is just looking for their opposition to make an easy mistake so they get the ball back. There is a clear difference. The best coaches in the world will do the bare minimum to coach how to tackle or the structure of the defense. What they are trying to do is they're trying to install a mentality in a team. And the mentality that the Springboks have is to do anything in their power to hunt down an attacking player and get the ball back. Now look, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive to the fact that some teams don't have the personnel just to be straight up brutal tacklers. But you don't need that to have the mindset to want to go and hunt the ball and want to get that ball back and do anything to get back on the attacking front foot. Because without the ball, like we said earlier, you can't win a game of rugby. Rassi and his coaching staff has clearly created a culture and a mindset that inspires work rate and aggression in defense. And look, those teams that don't have the personnel to be big bruisers and big tacklers don't have to run a blitz defense at all. They can still run kind of a softer defense, but the hunger can still be there. The mentality can still be there to want to get the ball back as soon as possible. And that should be emphasized within every rugby team, that desire and that excitement to defend. And that's what's so special about this Springbok team. There is a true desire that you can see every time that they step on the pitch. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please feel free to subscribe and like below. I really appreciate the support that you're showing me recently. We're nearly actually at 1,000 subscribers, which would be insane if we reached that. So I appreciate it so much for the support that you guys are showing me. And hopefully you stick around for the next video. Okay, cheers. Bye.